Indigenous and Northern Affairs Committee to order. And we always start with the acknowledgement of the traditional territories. In Ottawa, that would be the unceded territory of the Algonquin people. Here where I'm sitting, it would be Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Chonantan, or neutral First Nations. And pursuant to Standing Order 1082, the motion adopted on October 27, 2020, the committee is continuing its study of food security in northern communities. And just a brief mention of the issues, the technical issues. You may speak and listen in the official language of your choice. Bottom of the screen, the little globe, select the language which you wish to speak and listen to. That could be Floor, English, or French. And when speaking, ensure that your video is turned on, and please speak slowly and clearly. When you're not speaking, your mic should be on mute. And once again, it's important that we conduct this carefully, because the meetings to be officially considered have to be properly translated in both languages, English and French. With us today by video conference for 1 hour are the following three witnesses. National Chief Elmer St. Pierre from the Congress of Aboriginal Peoples. Soon to join us, Grand Chief Garrison Setti. And right now with us, Chief Executive Officer on behalf of Second Harvest, Lori Nicol. So thank you all for taking your time. You have up to 6 minutes for your opening statement, and then we'll move to questions. And National Chief Elmer St. Pierre, please go ahead for 6 minutes.
Thank you for the invitation to speak, Bob and the members of the committee. As you're well aware, my name is Elmer St. Pierre, and I'm the National Chief of the Aboriginal people. I'd like to acknowledge of being on the traditional unceded territory of the Mohawk people. CAP has been a federal organization of the NIOs and represent off-reserve status, non-status Métis and Southern Inuits. This year, we celebrate our 50th year anniversary, and we're very proud that we were able to last the 50 years the way the economy and everything has been going. Food security was at the top of priority for INCAP and the PTOs, the COVID response. Problems with food security exist long before. Over the last year, CAP and the PTOs helped thousands of households to access food across Canada. We provide food hampers, transportation, and access to traditional foods. Try to keep my notes in straight here. But we reach Indigenous families in small towns and large cities, and especially in the north. We are thankful for the COVID response funding received, but COVID funding is temporary, and the gap will exist after it is gone. Even when food is available, family needs income to buy. One of our members in Labrador, led by President Todd Russell, they face high food prices, a lack of job, and lack of income, and they are denied the right to access food and resources on their own land. Resources like fishing, hunting for food, forestry for heat and fuel. Food is the center of the cultural event and heritage. This is a matter of survival and our culture. Only one of Labrador's communities, Black Tick, is eligible for nutrient north. Many more need help, but are denied. The community-based enemies and entities like water, heat, sewage, and reliable roads. This is the kind of fight our basic equality and essential we have been not dealing with in decades. CAP and our PTOs are not part of the talks around infrastructure and rights. Inclusion and rights can help build food security, jobs, and economics. The COVID funding example shows that we can offer solutions when we are included. Our communities need support for proper infrastructure. We need to consult with our communities, the same as you do with AFN, MNC, and ITK. Include us, and we can offer solutions. The Constitution does not specify organizations to consult. Only the government needs to consult Indians, Inuit, and Métis. We can do that. Daniel's decision, once and all, the people are Indians under the Constitution. We are ready to solve these issues together. At this time, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to everybody, all the ministers, and looking forward for questions.
Thanks very much, Elmer. And next we have, for a 6-minute presentation, up to 6 minutes, the Chief Executive Officer of Second Harvest, Lori Nicol. Please go ahead for 6 minutes.
Thank you to the esteemed members of the Standing Committee of Northern and Indigenous Affairs for inviting Second Harvest Canada to provide some remarks. I want to begin by stating that Second Harvest is by no means an expert in the complex and multifaceted challenges of Northern and Indigenous food security. What we can tell you is that food security or food insecurity is an outcome of poverty. And food security will only be possible when there are systems and supports in place for people to be able to access the food, housing, and other essentials that they need when they need them without the need for charitable organizations like mine. In the interim, we think it's imperative that we get healthy food to communities at no cost to them. So for those of you unfamiliar with Second Harvest, we're the largest food rescue charity in the country. We're unique in that we redistribute primarily perishable food. And we work at the intersection of hunger relief and environmental protection. We do this because in Canada, 58% of all the food produced is lost or wasted, including 11.2 million metric tons of surplus food that could easily be rescued and redistributed. That's enough food to feed every Canadian for 5 months. At Second Harvest, what we do is create systems to redirect that food to charities, nonprofits, and Northern and Indigenous communities. And we do this with technology, as well as trucks, trains, boats, and planes to ensure that this surplus food stays at a landfill where it releases greenhouse gases like methane and directly contributes to the climate crisis. In Canada, there are over 60,000 charities, nonprofits, and Indigenous organizations that use food in their programs. And as we are all aware, Northern and Indigenous communities are disproportionately affected by food insecurity and by climate change. We've heard that in Fort Smith for generations, people have used boats to hunt moose along Slave River, but wet weather and a short spring created so much water higher up in the woods that moose were not walking along the river this fall, which impacted the hunt and the food supply. And food insecurity is only going to get worse as many communities depend on ice roads for transporting crucial supplies. And with the increasing incidence of winter road closures and reduced load weight limits, there are higher costs for delivering food. So at the beginning of the pandemic, Second Harvest created the Food Rescue Canadian Alliance. This was a national collaboration of industry, government, NGOs, and Indigenous communities. Our mandate was simply to identify where there would be high volumes of surplus food across the supply chain and to connect it with the communities that had an increased demand for food. The Indigenous Working Group came together in an effort to support non-Indigenous food relief organizations like mine to disperse food and funds meaningfully to address the heightened food insecurity concerns of many, but especially Indigenous, rural, and remote communities. Since then, Second Harvest has led several Northern projects, including a grocery gift card program, where we leveraged funding from the Sprott Foundation to provide over $4.5 million in grocery gift cards with grocers like the Northern Store. Sprott Foundation has provided over $21 million in COVID relief to food and housing causes. We offered grants up to $20,000 through the federal government's food security program, and we ensured our application process was flexible and accessible to Northern and Indigenous communities, which resulted in the disbursement of about $2.7 million. Additionally, through the federal government's surplus food rescue program, of which we are strong advocates for, we were able to source, process, and deliver about 2 million pounds of fresh, healthy, free food to communities that included fish, chicken, bison, and frozen vegetables. But as the government subsidies conclude, we know how critical it is for us to continue to provide these services to communities. However, the logistical infrastructure necessary to get food to the many remote and isolated communities is prohibitively expensive and a serious contributor to the food insecurity. In the Northwest Territories alone, we all know 33 communities cover 1 million square kilometers of land, which makes getting good, healthy food at a decent price difficult, to say the least. For an example, in Aklavik, we shipped a container of 20 skids of mostly meat to a community of about 590 people. The cost was over $85,000 for one shipment. Transporting perishable healthy food is especially complex and expensive. However, we are committed to ensuring this surplus food will reach the communities that want the food. And this is achievable with government support, philanthropic gifts for transportations like the one we received through the Slate Family Foundation, in combination with amazing logistic partners, including Arctic Co-op, Arctic Consultants, and Uber Freight, and the essential collaboration with territorial and Indigenous government representatives, communities, and organizations. Without a doubt, these challenges existed long before the pandemic. And although Nutrition North Canada has attempted to tackle the rising food costs, statistics have continued to expose the food insecurity faced by communities is increasing, in some communities up to 80%. We believe there is an opportunity for investment in an Indigenous-led organization that can address and mobilize partners such as Second Harvest. There is also an opportunity to examine what strategies have worked, because as we all know, food insecurity is a serious public health issue, and one solution will not work in every community. And we need audacious leadership and collaboration to support Indigenous-led solutions to decrease and ultimately eradicate food insecurity and poverty in Northern and Indigenous communities. I want to thank you for providing Second Harvest Canada an opportunity to speak, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
And thank you very much for your presentation. And we are now joined by Grand Chief Garrison Settee, who will, let me ask Mr. Clerk if Mr. Settee's microphone levels are sound and ready to go.
I'll just ask him to introduce himself and his organization, and hopefully that will be enough for our interpreters to tell me if we can proceed.
Good morning, everybody. I'm calling from Thompson, Manitoba. It's our MKO territory. I'm hoping you can hear me.
It's a low sound level, Mr. Settee. If you could bring your microphone down closer to your mouth, about there. Try that.
All right. Good morning.
And we're still a little distant, Mr. Clerk. I'll put it to you.
Yes, Mr. Settee, if you wouldn't mind just speaking a bit louder, and I think we will be okay.
Okay, I can speak a little bit louder. I'm hoping everybody can hear me.
Yes, please proceed with your statement. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. It's my honor. I know this microphone has messed up my hair, so forgive me. It is indeed my honor to be before the Standing Committee on Indigenous and Northern Affairs. My name is Garrison Settee, Grand Chief of the Manitoba Kiwetinowi Okimaganak. It's a Manitoba Northern Chiefs organizations, and I bring greetings on behalf of the 26 First Nations that I represent. And our territory covers 2/3 of the province of Manitoba, so it's a very large territory. And we have presented numerous times in front of the House of Commons committees on various issues that affect our member First Nations. And today, we appear today for this committee to present on food security. Generally, and not specific to the COVID global pandemic that we currently face. However, we are open to questions about the impacts of the pandemic upon our First Nations. In May of 2012, we made a submission to the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the Right to Food. And I now take this opportunity to provide the context on the food security issues that we face in our north, in our MKO First Nations. And we assert that the MKO First Nations express the right to food as food sovereignty, which the MKO First Nations and the United Nations each recognize as a concept that is distinctly different from the concept of food security. Food sovereignty speaks to the right of the MKO First Nations to sustainably meet our food needs in accordance with our customary food preferences and harvesting practices from our traditional territories. And I just wanted to add that before this committee, I'm cognizant always of the fact that prior to colonization, we never had to worry about food sovereignty or food security because our cultures maintained and sustained us since time immemorial. But however, today, as we examine the status and the state of our First Nations when it comes to food security, when all people at all times have physical and social economic access to food, that is food security, but that is not the reality in which we live. It is not. So food insecurity presents a particularly serious and growing challenge in Canada's Indigenous communities. And there's a lot of evidence that food insecurity among Northern First Nations is a growing problem. It has always been a problem, but it's a growing problem that requires urgent attention to address and mitigate the serious impacts. And the health and well-being of our people is in jeopardy. It's being threatened because of food insecurity. So we assert that food security is encompassed within our assertion of food sovereignty. Food insecurity is particularly concerning as it pertains to remote isolated communities. We have 15 communities that require a winter road, an ice road. That's how they get their food and their supplies, and that door is only open 3 months out of the year. But with climate change, that is now being threatened. The ability to access food is limited. They have a 2-month opportunity, providing that the climate is cold so that the roads can be used. So there's a lot of problems associated with food access in our fly-in remote communities in our north. Limited selection of perishable foods, high food prices, escalating transportation costs, and the uncertainty of the travel on winter ice roads and high poverty rates and the declining use of our traditional foods has impacted food security. So we engage with other First Nations and come up with plans on how we can address this. For example, community-based food action is one possible response to tackle food insecurity alongside business activities and government programs and social policy. So we have to get to the root problem. We have to get to the root problem of food insecurity in First Nations in Northern Manitoba. And there must be consideration given to the empowerment and resourcing of the First Nation governments we have in our north. So the unilateral inclusion of Indians by the Crown in the first Constitution of Canada placed them as wards of the state, created a system of dependency, which should not exist. We should be emancipated, a sovereign people, to be able to determine our own destiny. And when it comes to food sovereignty, being able to move within our sphere to address our needs according to our understanding, because we know our territory. And I want to remind the Standing Committee, many times in my discussions with our governments, I said many decisions are made on our behalf without our inclusion. And sometimes those decisions are detrimental to the well-being of our Indigenous First Nations. So we need to continue to engage with you so that we can make decisions that will help our people instead of bringing harm to them. So the will and actions of Canada are required to make the rightful empowerment and resourcing of First Nations a reality as it relates to food security. There's a treaty history amongst our nations, our people, and the government. The upholding of these treaties will change the status quo. It will alter the status quo of Indigenous people when these treaties are honored. We own up to our responsibilities to care for our earth, and ancestors were assured food security in days gone by. And today, the needs of life for generations, we can continue to perpetuate this to our future generations. So First Nations and Canada need to uphold the true spirit and intent of the treaties and share the empowerment and resourcing of our ways of life, including food sovereignty. So we came here to present that there's a difference between food security and food sovereignty. And
Mr. Sethi, Chief, we're a bit over time, and we need to move quickly toward a noon deadline. So
okay, so I'm done. I'm basically done.
That's good. That's good. I think we generally get the point, but more will come up in the rounds of questioning, which begins with 6-minute question rounds. I have Mr. Melillo, Ms. Zan, Madam Berube, and Ms. Blaney. And Eric, you're up for 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I thank all of our witnesses for joining today. I'd like to start with Grand Chief Sethi. Grand Chief, I represent the riding of Kenora in northwestern Ontario, so kind of your neighbor to the east. The majority of the communities in my riding fall under Treaty 3 and Treaty 9 territory, but there's also a small sliver of Treaty 5 in my riding as well.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of similarities as well between my riding and the regions you represent. So just in talking about transportation and the infrastructure challenges, you mentioned winter roads. Those are obviously challenges we know very well in my region as well. So I'm wondering if you could expand a bit more on some of those transportation challenges and how the government can support that infrastructure.
Well, for housing needs, they need transportation. For the stocking of First Nations stores in First Nation communities, they absolutely need those roads because the price of freight and cargo is astronomical. No individual alone by themselves will be able to afford that, to be able to bring in food for themselves. So that's a factor, and it's always been a factor. And 15 flying remote communities in our First Nations are suffering if they don't have those roads. And sometimes that road is unable to be used because of warm weather. So their opportunities are limited. And sometimes the stores struggle with supply and demand, and it's a reality that we live in every year. About 2 or 3 parts of the year, we're suffering. Our people are suffering with getting supplies.
Absolutely, and I definitely appreciate those comments, and I think it goes into something I've been hearing a lot in my region about sort of the need for more development, responsible development in collaboration with northern communities and Indigenous communities. And I think you mentioned that sort of the empowerment aspect. So would you agree that in collaboration with Indigenous communities and with the North, if the government were to support more economic development, if that would help to bridge the gap? Because obviously these are the issue of food insecurity is. There's a number of issues that contribute to it as well. So I'm just wondering if you would agree that would help raise the standard of living as well.
In Northern Canada and First Nations, usually the rate of unemployment is 85%, if not more in some. So economic opportunities are the thing that will bring emancipation to our people from poverty, and education is our way out of poverty. And I'm a former teacher, so I've been preaching this for 20 years. That education and economic development go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. So if you zero in on economic opportunities for people to be employed, I think that's moving in the right direction.
Great, thank you. And I'll just ask one more question to you quickly, and hopefully I have some time to get to a couple other witnesses, the other witnesses as well. And I'll let you pick up where you left off in your opening remarks. You were talking about obviously food sovereignty and the need for a focus on cultural, traditional foods. has the government done enough to support that in your view, and what could the government do better to help support that?
I think that the ability to access our traditional foods has been limited because of developments relating to hydros and hydro projects and pipelines. So our food security has been altered by that, but that does not mean that we can continue to exercise our right to hunt, trap, and fish. So those are the things. And if there's a big argument, and it's political, about the natural resources transfer agreements, that has really impacted our First Nations. But anyway, to make a long story short, no, not enough has been done. And then there needs to be more resourcing for our First Nations.
I appreciate that. That honesty, that openness. I think it's very good for a committee to hear, and thank you for those comments.
You're most welcome.
I'll ask Ms. Nicol next, sort of on the transportation side as well. I'm curious to get your thoughts. Obviously, your organization, as I understand, operates across Canada, including in the territories. How have you found difficulty with the transportation challenges that we know exist across the north?
We're lucky because we have great partners, but we clearly can't provide the amount of food that is needed. And transportation is incredibly expensive, and it's almost prohibitive for us to get food into northern communities. And also, just the reality is the landmass is so huge, it's multiple trips, but you can only do one and done kind of thing. So I had to bring up like a whole lot to support one community and hope that they could store the food. So transportation and, the melting of the permafrost is not helping those ice roads at all. Everything's becoming far more expensive. Getting planes out, perishable food is also the challenge, because the way you manage perishable food is very different than, shelf stable in cans. So all that to say, I don't think it's news to anybody. Transportation is a huge issue, getting food to those communities.
Thank you. Chair, I think I'm running low on time.
I think just 10 seconds left. So
10 seconds. Okay, I'll give that back to you.
Thanks very much. Ms. Zan, 6 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much to the witnesses. Very compelling testimony, and of course, this committee has been hearing from a lot of people right across the country about the challenges that are facing the North and Indigenous communities with food security, which is such an important part of people's life and health.
I think she's frozen, Chair.
I wondered I was just distracted briefly and Lenore disappeared. Let me move on to Madam.
Do you want me to jump in there and
have
my remaining time?
Go ahead.
Okay, Danse Grand Chief Sete, I'm very interested in hearing more about the whole concept of food sovereignty, and if there are any best practices that you can share with this committee. We've heard very much about some of the good things that are happening in terms of money being put into traditional hunting and fishing to move towards that. We know food security is a growing problem because of not only climate change, but also the conditions that you talked to about systems of colonization. And as someone who's coming to you from the Eskasoni Mi'kmaq community, I'm just wondering if you could share with the committee what are some of the best practices around food sovereignty.
What happened at the beginning of COVID, because of the limited supply of a product to the First Nations, a community in Lac Brochet started to have a community fridge where they stored fish and game so that people can come and just access that. in the community. So that was a good way to start, because that traditionally that is how things were done. When you killed a moose, it was not your moose, it's the community's moose, and they will return to that practice, and it helps sustain them through that rough part of not having the stores supplied and stocked. So that's a good way of dealing with that. And if we can have that continually and perpetuate that in a healthful and in a way that is being monitored, I think that is a way to go. And it provides therapy for young people, because when they do these things, it brings healing and calmness to their spirit and their mind. And that's why we have such a high rate of suicides, because they're not they don't have access to the land. The land heals, and then we're allowed to exercise our right. We're going to have less problems with mental and emotional problems in our First Nations, in a nutshell.
I'm really glad you brought up youth. I was on the Assembly of First Nations Youth Council many years ago, and I talked to people from northern Manitoba, and they talked to me about the lack of connection with the environment and what the mental health impacts that's having. Can you talk to me about what's the impacts on that on the youth mental health, and whether you're getting into a lot of out migration that is leaving the communities?
Yeah, the challenges in First Nations, when you have the reality of 85% unemployment, there's very little opportunities, and that escalates into a lot of things. Try to alleviate their pain, they return to drugs and alcohol, and they leave the community. And then when they leave the community, it sets up a cycle of homelessness and all kinds of challenges if they don't have the education to be able to secure a job. But the COVID has really shone the light on a lot of the deficiencies and inadequate programs that we have in First Nations, because the youth are the largest demographic, and they're the ones that suffer the most. And in a First Nation community where they're isolated and now they're in quarantine, it exacerbates the problem. So there's a lot of mental health resources, and being out on the land is the way our people heal themselves, being access to the land. So, and that's all connected with food security. It's all connected. Everything's interrelated in our culture.
Do I have time for one more question, Mr. Chair?
Minute and a half. Please go ahead.
I'm wondering, I'm glad you talked about education as well. And one of the biggest pushes from the Mi'kmaq community is returning to land-based education. And I'm wondering if you could speak to us about any promising practices or what's going on in your communities, in the MKO communities, about restoring that land-based learning and the connection with the environment.
Providing that the schools are adequately funded, you can have a very successful land-based program. And that involves, and Pimichika Cree Nation is where I come from. I'm a former teacher. Our school had programs, land-based, language, and First Nation studies. I was a teacher in First Nation studies. So we had the land-based program, and I see firsthand how that helps the self-esteem of the students, the pride they get when they're able to access fish for families and whatnot. So this is it's something that has been attacked. Our culture has been attacked, but the only way that we can recover is having access to the land and providing food security for us.
Thanks very much. That will take us to time. And next we go to Madame Bérubé. 6 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very pleased that you're participating in this committee. I think it's very important in the situation of crisis which we're living in, and the question of food insecurity that we're going through. I represent my community in the north of Quebec, where the Cree and the Anishinaabe peoples live. So I have a question for the three witnesses today. I'd like to know, how would you describe the factors as well as the consequences when it comes to food security for each of your regions?
Yeah, what's happening in the north on our with CAP, we have what we call PTOs, which they're members of CAP on our board of directors, and each one of those people, we got 3 of them up in the north area. We try to reach out as much as we can. A lot of it has to do with transportation, and we try to get, like they say, the non-perishable goods, because that is one of the big things in the northern area. Is your fruits and your vegetables, and as well with our grassroots people, we don't have the sources of to be able to hunt and fish and store away for the winter months, because the federal government doesn't recognize us as people to be able to do that. So with the COVID-19 funding, we struggle and we do our best, and we have some great people that in areas where we can get to, we help out, and we make sure they get enough food that'll last them for a month. Then, John, if they need, well, I know they need help later, and we do it all over again. So food security is, it is a big problem, but there's got to be a way of working it out. I've listened to Ms. Nichols and the Grand Chief. Maybe one issue that we can look at is, it may be stretching a little bit far, but maybe we should be looking at the Army. They got helicopters. They got stuff sitting around not doing anything. Maybe we should look at not employing them, but give them a routine. What do you call it? Where they go out and recruit, and load the planes up or helicopters up with food for all the communities, because yes, we have our boys over and women overseas, but we've still got people here. Let's use their helicopters and let that be part of their contribution to this this pandemic, and then on each one of us as organizations put in some money and say, okay, let's say for CAP, for instance, with our PTOs in the northern area, let's throw in a couple $100,000. The same with the Grand Chief, and maybe with Miss Nichols as well, and not just those, but MNC and the Assembly of First Nation, ITK. Is everybody throw a big pot of money in there and say, okay, we're going to deliver this, and it's going to be the Army to do the delivery. Now, for the infrastructure, we may have to have the government go in and build helicopter pads or clear out a spot where these big helicopters can land. But that's kind of like, I've been thinking about this for a while, since since the northern people are having so much trouble. But it's an idea, and as MPs, you could maybe take that up the ladder and say, listen, this is what we're hearing. These helicopters, they can fly anywhere and just about any kind of weather. So let's put them to use.
Minute and a half. 1.5.
I'm done now. Go ahead, Bob. Who's next?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? I kind of cut out in my headphones, but I loved your answer.
Yes, I wanted to know what would be the factors that would be contributing to food insecurity, and what are the consequences in each of your regions?
Oh, okay. So I'm just going to start by saying I am, again, not an expert in this at all. And so we work with partners and just listen to what they need. But one of the things that was very clear at the beginning of COVID, because Second Harvest, we're just opt-in, right? We have food, whoever wants it can have it, and it's perishable. But the Indigenous Working Group was led by Joseph LeBlanc and Elisa Levi, who worked in food systems in Indigenous communities for many, many years. And what kept popping up was this kind of lack of centralization. Like, where was this one place, this Indigenous-led place that we could say, okay, have you got it covered? Where are all the places we could send it? And I'm not even sure if that's possible, but I know that was a huge barrier in the beginning. And it created, we created systems to ensure that we could get food places, but we're doing the best we can without actually knowing like this centralized place to help us get food. So as soon as you said bring in the military, I'm like, that's brilliant. Oh my gosh, of course, because we have the food. It is really just a transportation and understanding where the needs are, that and understanding also the complexity of the cold chain.
Thanks, Ms. Nigel. We're at time there, and that brings us to Ms. Blaney for 6 minutes. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your testimony today. If I could start with you, Ms. Nicol. One of the things that we've already heard in this study is about food being transported to very remote northern places. And there are so many challenges in terms of maintaining the food viability due to a lack of food storage infrastructure. I'm just wondering if you see this. I would assume that you do. And if you could tell us what gaps are most problematic.
Cold chain. It's always the cold chain. That's the biggest gap. And so at the end of the day, right, like we have food safety compliance rules that you must adhere to. And that's the reality. And so I think we're doing all the right things to do it, but the infrastructure is just not there. But we're still dropping off food that we would probably not do. I know we would not do in any kind of urban center, just because the infrastructure is not there.
So that's a big gap. You also talked a lot about it seems to me, the expertise that you've gathered just in terms of finding creative ways to transport food. Again, we heard about bringing in the military, and I'm coming to you next, Elmer, but I'm just wondering what, in your experience, is the biggest gap? I mean, you did talk about the coordinated approach, and part of that being a challenge is there's not that one person to contact and say how to, who needs what and where, but just in terms of that physical transportation.
Again, it's a coordinated, centralized approach. I would say that's our biggest challenge.
Okay. Thank you so much. So if I can come to you, National Chief St. Pierre, thank you so much for being here today. You talked about a lot of different things in your presentation, but one of the things you talked about is a sense of not being included. And I was not clear on what that meant for you in terms of being included in the conversation. So if you could just expand sort of your experience from CAP, what not being included looks like.
Well, what the whole thing is we're called in at the last minute of any consultation talks, and we're not at the lead with the other NOIs. And to say that we are one of the NOIs, and it's the last minute they call us on, and all of a sudden, everything that is being talked about is going to hit the floor by the end of the evening, sort of thing. And we have a 2-minute, 3-minute talk on anything and everything. I'm glad that Bob included us in this, and I think there was one other under the COVID that Bob invited us to and was able to talk. And that was some of the big things that we were invited, and it was kind of like your mic shut off, your video shut off, kind of like sit in the corner and be quiet. Just you can listen, that's it. But things are slowly picking up. Mm-hmm. And like I said, when we got champions like Bob and Kathy McLeod and yourself, Rachel, making sure that CAP has a voice. We can help out. Like a prime example when Miss Nichols says, who would have thought the Army? Like, let's put them on a training base and ship food all over Northern Ontario, wherever we can't get by vehicle, and even with the ice roads as bad as they are getting to be, the helicopters can fly, and we've got enough helicopters probably right across Canada that they wouldn't have to fly. I imagine Manitoba for prime example, up in Northern Ontario, the same thing. There's got to be helicopters close by, and we just have to work together with Miss Nichols to be able to pick up the food, like whether we have to pick it up, and the Army can do that too, because they got trucks. Pick up the food, bring it to the helicopters, and say, okay, guys, you're heading up, this way, and you're going up into Northern Quebec, or Northern Quebec, Northern Manitoba, and it's there. we got Army guys that, I'm not saying they're sitting around doing nothing, but let's get them out there and train.
So, National Chief, you also talked about the fact that food security problems were in place already prior to COVID starting. So could you just tell us a little bit about the food security issues before COVID compared to the COVID times?
Well, just like my other colleagues here and the ones before, like with weather not foreseen, and maybe the airplanes heading up to northern Manitoba, and all of a sudden there's a big rainstorm or whatever coming in that they can't get there. So that's a problem. So those people in the northern Manitoba, they may have to wait for a week before the weather clears up that these airplanes can fly again. If there was a way for them to go by boat, but a lot of the rivers up through there, you're looking at canoes, so you can't put very much food in there. So it's always been an issue for the northern people, because most of the time they can't get the proper fruits and vegetables, what the young kids need and what adults need. And then, John, with the restriction of the COVID-19, well, COVID-19 now, but prior to that, is there, some of our families, or most of our families, they cannot hunt and fish. And I know back in the day when I was a kid, my dad, my uncles, all went out and hunted and fished. I'm not going to say they didn't do it the right way, but that's how we survived in the wintertime.
Elmer, we'll leave it at that. I'm sorry, okay. Ms. Blaney.
No, that's okay, Bob.
Over time, maybe hovercraft. We'll move on. A shortened round because we have a noon deadline. So I'm going to ask Mr. Viersen, and then Ms. Zan is reconnected, so she can have another go at question. Madam Bérubé and Ms. Blaney, and that will do us for this round of testimony. So, Mr. Viersen, go ahead, 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank our guests for joining us today. Normally, we get to fly you all into Ottawa and see you in person, and so I apologize for that not being the case today. But nonetheless, here we are. Mr. Settee, I'm interested to, and the other Grand Chief as well, just around, you mentioned a bunch of the things that are perhaps going in the wrong direction when it comes to food security. We heard folks from the Yukon, there is more cattle in the Yukon than ever before. They're starting to grow their own grain cereal crops there as well. I understand the Yukon's mountainous valleys grow things quite well compared to the Canadian Shield. So I don't expect to be grain farming in northern Manitoba anytime soon. But nonetheless, livestock and animals, the harvest of caribou and things like that do happen in your community. But one thing that hasn't been mentioned is population growth. And as far as I understand, I've been to Iqaluit and visited with the Inuit people before, and they tell me that that is another major food problem. Is that not only is the food tough to get, but it was also their population has gone over the last 50 years from about 14,000 Inuit to 140,000 Inuit. And I'm just wondering, is that the similar scenario where you're from?
Absolutely, yeah. Population explosion has altered the ability for First Nations and their families to sustain themselves. And inflation of food continues to rise as the population explodes. So that's the dilemma that we're in.
Could you give us in numbers terms, kind of what the population has done over maybe your lifetime?
For myself,
even your own community, for example.
My community, there was 4,000 people in my community when I was a teenager. Now we have 8,000.
8,000. So it's basically doubled.
Doubled, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The other Grand Chief as well, Ernie, Elmer St. Pierre, Elmer. Is it a similar story where you're from?
I'm live in the urban areas, Kingston.
Okay.
But the numbers have grown because every time we turn around, like if you go with Stats Canada, I think there's something like 30 or 40,000 Aboriginal people that don't belong to an organization, but it's part of our mandate to make sure they are looked after. So, and every city is the same way. Like the northern countries, I'm not quite sure about the northern countries, to be honest about it. But I know that all the urban areas are, they're growing year after year.
Mr. Settee, one of the things that I've noticed is that like animal harvest is a big part of all of these northern communities. When I was up in northern Quebec, they were using the kitchen from the large like performing arts center to clean the animals. That was the largest commercial kitchen in the entire community. And I asked them like, well, like why is like they were hauling the moose into the backside of the performing arts center? It seemed like an odd thing to me. And they said, well, this is like the best place we've got. Is there butcher facilities in your communities? Is there like, I know like in rural Alberta, many of us have participated in like chicken slaughter co-ops and things like that. Is there stuff like that happening up in your neck of the woods?
As Ms. Nicol mentioned, that the infrastructure nor the facilities are there. We have a fish plant where our fish get treated, and but as far as facilities like spaces, we only utilize the fish plant and also find a building where they're able to look after the game, and that's basically it.
Okay, is there any interest in?
The interest is there. If infrastructure was there, they'd have people just lining up to volunteer and do this for their community.
Okay, interesting. Mr. St. Pierre, I guess that's quite a different story where you're from and the people that you represent.
You've only got 10 seconds. Go ahead, Elmer.
Anyway, when we do hunt, by that time, all our people pretty well know how to harvest and to do their own cutting up and everything. And if not, then there is local butcher shops in the countryside that a lot of our hunters take their deer or their moose, whatever the case may be, to and get cut up and wrapped up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elmer. Thanks, Mr. Viersen. And Miss Zan, please go ahead for 5 minutes.
Thank you, and hopefully I won't get rudely interrupted again. Sorry about that, folks. My internet became unplugged. Ms. Nicol, I just wanted to continue about. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for all the work you're doing for Second Harvest. It's an amazing organization. You've definitely helped so many people across the country, including in my riding, Cumberland Colchester here in Nova Scotia. And I was very glad to receive, communications from you saying that you'd provided 2,789 kilograms of food, a donation value at $17,453 and $65,800 in federal funding to support the emergency food access needs for 7 different nonprofit and charitable organizations in my riding. So I'm really, really grateful. And also, I know that you are concerned about the Surplus Food Rescue Program, which has done so much good work, and that you would like to see the Ministry of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada continue to invest in this program. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit for us, please?
Sure. So the federal government, Agriculture and Agri-Food, has a food security funding. There's about $250 million that they allocated. We were grateful that we were one of the organizations selected, and we've allocated grants. There is a surplus food rescue program, which I think is critical because not only does it actually help get food to people, it ensures that the producers can be paid for the food, we can process it properly, and then we can distribute it to northern communities, and it's all paid for. So there's like this win-win-win. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't go into landfill creating greenhouse gases. So I am a strong proponent of not only keeping this during COVID, but there's a definite legacy program here. Like we have to address this food, this enormous amount of food that we have in Canada that is just going into landfill. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. I would appreciate it if everybody could support and advocate for the continuation of the surplus food rescue program.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's so important. And as I was starting to ask before my internet got interrupted, you had said it was cost $85,000 to transport one lot of food up to the north. And also I was asking about, do you have any ability to have, greenhouses in, for instance, mobile units to be able to help communities? Do you have any kind of access to that sort of support?
No. And to be fair, that's not what we do. We really are just rescue food, get it there.
Okay.
All the other stuff is for other people.
Right. And so the $85,000, that's just in the transportation cost?
That's it. Yep.
So, yeah, that seems like an awful lot. But, if we can support you in any way, shape, or form here financially, I certainly think that the program that you're doing is worthwhile and needs to be continued. And again, I want to thank you so much. Also, I wanted to ask, hold on, there we go. Yes, I want to ask the other witnesses, if you have a brief request of this committee, what would be your number one priority that you would like to get to government to support, for us to support? Mr. Pierre, Saint-Pierre, would you like to go first?
I think the main thing would be to get the food to our northern outreach communities where it's hard to get to start out with. Like I said, maybe your committee can go to the government and say, listen, here's a great idea that come out of it might be a great idea. I think it's a great idea, but let's use the Army. Give them some basic training of how, if something ever happened in the world, we'd have an Army to be able to go out and do their thing.
And 30 seconds for Mr.
Okay, and
Sete.
Mr. Sete.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that food sovereignty is something that we need to examine, and we are able and ready to engage with the government if we want to move forward on any issue to bring food. We are here. We're standing by to facilitate the process, and we can.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thanks. I was intending to complete each party. I have Madame Bérubé for 2.5 minutes and Miss Blaney for 2.5 minutes. So I think we should allow them to ask their questions. Madame Bérubé, 2.5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question to the witnesses, what recommendation would you like to see in the final report on our study on food security?
Elmer, somebody?
I'll still emphasize on it is we got to get the food up into the northern countries. As simple as that, or northern communities not. And if it means that we got to use the Army.
A point of order, I'm not getting the translation.
Mr. Clerk, do we have an issue with translation?
No, I don't think so. I hear it now, so we'll attempt to continue.
Please go ahead.
Oh.
See if we...
So anyways, I was saying, I still emphasize that, I'd like to see in your report that, the Army was mentioned about transporting the food up in the northern country, whether it's, or northern communities, whether it's in the summertime or in the wintertime, either way, we got to get the food up in the northern communities, and not as simple as that. If not, we're going to have, people starving, or they're going to be, they're just going to be sick. And we got to make sure that our brothers and sisters in the north are properly looked after. So if you put in a report that one of the witnesses said something about Army and that, I'd be willing to talk to the transportation, anybody about it.
Mr. Sete, do you have a response for Madame Bérubé?
Oh, thank you very much for that. I think that the need is critical. We're in dire straits, and we need to have a process that we can all work with. And I think it's developing a process that works will be the answer to addressing food insecurity.
And Madam and Ms. Nichol.
I'd go back to the centralization of an Indigenous-led process group that can get the food up there. And again, surplus food rescue program.
Okay. That's about time right there. And so we'll move quickly now to Ms. Blaney to conclude. Please go ahead, Rachel.
Thank you for those recommendations. I really appreciate them. If I could just come to you, Grand Chief Sete. One of the things that you talked about in your introduction to us, you talked about decisions are made by government that are not good for the nation and how that impacts food sovereignty. So I'm just wondering if you could talk about, or maybe give an example of how decisions were made without the nation, and what challenges directly face you around food sovereignty.
I have a whole speech on this, but just to dissect it into one sentence statement. The ability for First Nations to make those decisions for themselves, because they know their people, they know the culture, they know the lifestyle. And if you have people make decisions on their behalf, they're going to make all kinds of erroneous errors. Diabetes is killing us, and you're going to send in products that are high in sugar and high in sodium. That's killing us. Let's think of alternatives.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that you talked about was education and the supports that are required for youth and mental health. And I imagine that food sovereignty has a huge impact on young people's mental health. So I'm just wondering if you're getting the appropriate supports, and how is food sovereignty specifically impacting young people's mental health?
Our education funding is low. It's not meeting the requirement, and we can have programs such as land-based training and education, land-based approach. It's not there, so we're just robbing from Peter to pay Paul many times to get a program going.
And so the mental health is really impacted by on-the-land education.
Absolutely. It brings healing when the opportunity to go out on the land, the mind, the emotions is settled, and the self-esteem is critical.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. And thank you to all of our witnesses today. I'm sorry we have to move on to other business. And so I will say thanks very much for your testimony. If there's anything further that you felt we needed to hear, you can submit a written testimony and we'll be happy to receive it. Right now, we need to suspend this meeting and remind members and staff, you have to leave the Zoom and come back into the Zoom to resume the next part of our meeting. So let's Zoom away. The meeting is suspended briefly. Thank you.